record on the computer. Hi, money magicians. How are you? So we're not doing a live video today. I thought we were gonna do a live video, but there were all these tech things. To be honest, like I keep complaining about Be Live, right? I really need to find an alternative. I find alternatives and then I go back to Be Live because it's such an easy option. But I think I'm heading back to doing live Facebook live sessions using Zoom soon. It's just so much easier. But like just the tech element of setting up Zoom, right? So enough about that. My guest today is Pakama. She is a money magic student and she's going to talk to us about her money journey. Welcome, Pakama.
Morning, Vangile, and all money magic wannabes. I'm joking. Thank you for inviting me. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so I've just given you the full screen. So, yeah, like I love to do that. So, because people don't need to see my face when you're having the conversation with them. So, tell us, what do you do, what you're about? Tell us a little more about yourself.
Okay, so Pakama, mother of three. I'm a stay-at-home mom at the moment. I studied journalism, and I did that a little bit after school, and then I quit that, and then I decided to stay at home, and then I was doing free writing for everybody because within the last 12 years after leaving school and leaving journalism, and then I realized that I like fiction writing. I like to read stories. I like to write stories. But I was constantly putting that off or using that kind of creativity to write things for other people for free. Until a friend of mine...
We've all been there. I was going to say, yeah, we have.
No, but now it sounds a little bit crazy when I think about it. Like, what were you doing what do you mean you just decided that this is what you are going to do as if you don't have bills to pay? So a friend of mine got me on the Facebook page of the free 10-day money challenge.
The 5-day money challenge. Wow, no, money magic student.
Was it not a 10-day? Last year, okay.
Yeah, so 5-day. I've never done a free 10-day challenge. I never will. I will.
Okay, no. It must have felt like 10 days, I guess. So I started doing the work in that way. And then I realized a lot of beliefs that I'd had, and I wanted to do more of this work, which is why I then joined the course.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
right now...
You can hear that crazy noise.
I can't.
Okay, good. That means they won't be able to hear it.
So in the end, I'm in a place now where I am getting jobs. I am getting paid for my writing. I've decided to not do free stuff anymore, and it hasn't been as difficult in terms of, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. I'm going to have to say no to a lot of people and.
Yeah.
But throughout doing the course, I'm finding that I'm happier in a way.
Yeah.
And I feel good about the work that I do.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing, right, about free things, I don't know if you experienced this, and I'll go back to asking more in-depth questions about your experience with the course and your money journey. But when I was doing everything for free and then I started doing this work, I thought I would have to make an announcement and fight people that were coming to say, we want you to work for free. And then imagine my shock when the free people just stopped coming and offering themselves as options. It was like, I got so ready and worked myself up. Yeah, I'm going to turn down all free gigs. And then the free gigs just never came.
It's true. No, I had the exact same thing because I thought, oh, I'm going to have to say no to so many people, blah, blah, blah. But all of a sudden, people started calling me and being like, oh, yeah, I read this, or are you still writing? I want you to do this for me. This is how much it is. Can you do it? And then I'm like, yeah. So it started being like every week now, almost every week, I'm getting a phone call from somebody who wants to do something with me and actually pay me. And so the free people really have kind of disappeared.
Like, because it was never about the free people. That's what I tell people. Because if it was about the free people, you would have had to fight them, right? You would have been in that, I'm fighting you. But as you changed yourself, they just stopped coming into your space with that. Even if someone was going to come with that, vibrationally, there was no sync anymore. And because there was none of that within you to bring that into your space, there was no kind of alignment, so to speak. And I don't like using a lot of the airy-fairy words of the money magic students know. Yeah. Like, I don't like just saying alignment and frequency and vibration, because that doesn't make it super clear to people. But we literally attract what we are. So everything is a reflection of what's going on within us. That's why often we think, oh my God, I'm going to fight the free people. And then you you start understanding your worth and your enoughness and just being. And they no longer show up because they no longer have to show up, because there's none of that alignment energetically.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, okay, let's start from the beginning. So, tell us, how was your money story apart from the free stuff? What else was happening in terms of savings, debt, and how did you see that change as you did the Money Magic course?
I had no savings. I had debt, which is funny. I had one debt, which is school fees for one of my kids, right? And from doing the work, though, and I just totally ignored it. I'd get letters, I'd get phone calls, I wouldn't pick up. I just literally kept sending him to school because I knew it's illegal for them to not have him at the school, even though I haven't paid the school. And I would have monies at times, but I would not use that to pay the fees. I would not use that to pay the debt.
You're just triggering me in all sorts of ways, you know? Like, I grew up with an uncle like that. Oh, Lordy, until like I had to fight for my dad to take over my fees. Because my mom was very proud. She didn't want him to have anything to do with anything. I can't do it. At like a very young age, I was like, I don't care. Can't do it. The triggers, oh my God, Pakama, you're bringing back horrid childhood memories.
Yeah, no, I was your uncle. And from doing the work, though, I then remembered something that I think I totally, completely forgot about, that when I was a kid, my mom was a teacher.
Yeah.
So education is very important to her, school is very important to her, and. But she also happened to be the first person to graduate from a university in our family. She had all her brothers and sisters that she had to take care of, and my cousins and me and whatever else. But to cut a long story short, there was always a thing around my fees not being able to be paid. Because she would put money aside for my fees, and then there would be a crisis in the family, and then we use that in fact, to pay
I'm
the fees.
literally getting a lump in my throat as you talk, but keep going. Guys, this is how triggers work.
And also there would be memories of me and her having to go to my dad to ask for monies for fees, and he would refuse or promise to pay it at a time and then just simply not, and so it would still be her problem. And I remember that she even took out, so the specific memory I've been dealing with a lot is how she took out this policy to pay for my fees at university, right? And let it mature and whatever else. And then one of my cousin's mom dies, okay? And he was older than me, so she took all that monies to pay for his education. By the time I got to pass the trick, I now had no monies, had to borrow all that stuff. And somehow, though, this is exactly where I was going, where I somehow was repeating this pattern without actually realizing that this is exactly what I'm doing. So now I'm paying my debt. I've been doing it for 9 months now, where little by little every month I am making sure that I pay the debt on the school fees. And I have been keeping up with school fees payments this year. Like, not 1 month did I miss. I'm so happy.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So I found that there's a lot of other deeper stuff about how I spend monies and how I chose to actually remain unemployed for the longest time because I did not want to be my mom. I did not want to have to take care of family. And so if they knew I have no monies, I have no job, then nobody's going to ask me for monies.
Right? Because we want to basically protect ourselves. So how did you see the cause helping you with that? Was it like this hectic, intense thing, or have you seen, like, how did you see that shift happen within you emotionally, and how has it affected everyone around you? Because the big thing that everyone fears is that now you step into your power with the cause, and it ruins the whole family relationships because now you tell people, no, I can't support you financially, which ironically is, again, like, people don't believe when I say this. The family members that used to ask you for money just suddenly have no more interest in you and asking you for money because you're no longer in that vibrational alignment because something within you has healed that needed the healing. But what's been your experience?
I think at first it was difficult, but not because people were asking me for monies, but because I was so used to doing that, right? That if there's a thing in the family, even though I don't work, I will be the one who will make a plan and we pay this thing off or whatever. So at first, I think it was more difficult on me that the minute, say, my mom tells me that, oh, so-and-so died in the village and they didn't have a policy and this and that, I would be the one who immediately thinks, oh, what am I going to do? How are we going to get this money? And yet she's just actually just telling me about something that's going on and hasn't even asked for anything, but I would feel this guilt and this pressure to just do something. So, and those times.
And that happens all the time to most people. Like, whenever I ask, most of the students, did someone ask you, did they sit down and say, we asked for money for the funeral? Most of the time, people don't ever ask. You make yourself available. And
Exactly. So at first, but I know that I had also had this relationship with mom, so I had to do what's the mother wound meditations quite a bit because I was very angry at my mom. Like, once I started doing the course, I realized why I avoid her, and why then it had become that our relationship is simply about she calls if she needs money, I call if there's some money thing, or we're just not actually having conversations anymore. So I had to deal a lot with that anger.
Yeah.
And now, though, me and my mom are great. And our conversations are not just about that. And two, I've realized that half the time it is me who put it upon myself that, oh, because she's told me this, I need to give her money. And yet she hasn't actually even done that. And since there's been this shift where she doesn't even ask for monies from me, it's really rare now that she'll be like, okay, I need petrol money, and she will pay it back, because that was the other thing, that I would borrow people money but would never get it back ever.
And again, because it was never about your mother and it was never about the money, it was about you. And oh my gosh, I wish people would truly get this. Yeah, the mother wound meditations are literally life changing.
No, they are. I mean, I was probably in bed after doing the first one for 3 times for a while, just crying and all that. But afterwards, I had to actually get up and I talk to people, and I don't have my mom's phone calls anymore. And that anger from my side has totally subsided. I mean, I'm not saying that we're perfect or whatever, but that has changed how we relate to each other.
Yeah.
That's changed the fact that sometimes, even when I would have the kids go visit her for a weekend, my main thing will be about, do I have enough money? I must leave her money for food and this and this and this and that, as if like her house is completely groceryless.
And that's the other thing, right? Because we think that about our mothers, we basically don't see them as powerful and empowered beings. We basically turn them into our own burdens in our minds. So then they lose that sense of individuality that they have, as every human being has, because we view them in this way. So it's really, I love what you're saying about just like, oh, now you just realize that your mom is okay. You know, she doesn't need saving. She just needs you as her daughter to be present.
And she's just fine, like, you know, and because I think also it was around that, yes, she couldn't pay the fees on time and whatever else, but she did make what she could. And I did go to university, I did get the degree. And so it was also around the guilt of, but now I'm not working. And I somehow felt I have to pay her back. But actually, that's not what she's asked of me. She just wants me to be okay wherever I am, and she doesn't have to worry. And but I took
grandkids, you know.
Exactly, she just wants that. But I took it upon myself that, oh no, you need to pay it back. You need to get the next generation in school or whatever. Like.
We do so much to ourselves. So tell me, how are your savings going?
Right now, I've been saving $200 a month.
Yeah.
So maybe I only have 2,000 rand by now in savings, but that's something that savings were not even a thing I thought about.
Yeah.
My money was, there's money now, it gets spent now. There's a crisis, I get the crisis over, and then I'm broke for 20 days until the next monies come in. And I somehow was okay with that, right? Savings, I'm not thinking about savings. Investments, all those other things, no, that's not me in how I thought about it. But now I do have some savings.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, there's less crisis things happening to me. It used to be this roller coaster where I would never have even been able to save, because
what do I say about crisis?
Like there's always just some crisis happening.
Because we manifest the crisis. We need it. We literally create it. Again, these are things that people are like, how do you manifest the crisis? Trust me, you're so powerful as a being. You're creating a lot of the crisis. But
Yep.
so now are you having that broke period for 20 days where you're struggling? Where's the money going to come from? Or are you just comfortable as you live?
I'm very comfortable as I live. I mean, last month, and I'd said in the course sometime about how I hate holidays. There's the money thing. There's always some crisis happening when I'm on a holiday. It's true. Like there was
Yeah,
always
I
something.
remember. So Pakama shared this a few months ago, and then I told her to work on the memories around holidays as a kid. So what happened then?
I was doing that, and then it came up a lot because there was the one memory I shared on the group, but then I realized that actually all the holidays I took as a kid, there was always this other thing. So I tried to, parent my inner child and be like, it's okay, girl, like we can let this go now. And then next thing, I had a holiday last month. I went to Germany, I went to Paris. I had a good time. Nothing went wrong. Absolutely nothing went wrong. And even as that happened, I paid for my rent here. I paid for everything for October. Before I left, I paid the fees, I paid everything. So when I came back, I didn't want that stress of, oh, now I come back and I have to pay my helper, I have to pay school fees, I have to pay rates, I have to pay, we have a studio where we rent.
Vacationing without debt, isn't it amazing?
Exactly.
Traveling
It was
without
so
debt.
awesome.
I mean, Pakama, you did Europe on a South African exchange rate and you didn't get into debt.
I didn't get into debt and I came back with, I mean, it wasn't a lot, but I still had monies that I thought I would spend on the holiday when I came back. So it really felt good. And by now, when I was there, I got 2 job offers.
Oh my
word. I'm moving there next year at the end of the year.
Where next year? You just said you're moving.
I'm moving to Berlin next year.
Oh,
I'm gonna go finish my studies because part of this free stuff I was doing, can you believe I used to edit and help people with their master's research, and yet I haven't finished my master's.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious. And they would pass, and I'm not saying that I wrote their thesis for them or whatever, but that's what I used to do. But I wouldn't want to go back to school to finish my stuff. But I'm all about doing other people's thesis here.
But that's
looking
called
at
trauma,
here.
right? That's called, there's a lot of, and that's the beauty of this work, I think, is you would never think of, I want to go back to school to do my master's because there's so much trauma that you're not even aware of. And as you do the work, suddenly you automatically, it's almost like it comes from within. You want to do more for yourself, to invest in yourself, because suddenly you know you deserve it, you're worth it, you're good enough, and it just comes naturally. It's almost like I don't know, sometimes I call it a break in the cloud. Like yesterday, I had a huge epiphany of where wealthy money should go and what I want to do next year. I was just like, I sent Mizo a voice note about it, and I was just like, this was so obvious around the work I want to do more around teaching property investment and just a bunch of other things that for me, I couldn't believe that I've just never bothered to do it. You know, that's because I couldn't see. You can only be where you are based on the stories that you have about yourself and your surroundings and your ability. Until those stories leave, then until you release those stories, you release the trauma, the beliefs, the memories, then you just stay there. It's almost like you need to let that go to move forward.
Yeah, I hear you. Because then I'm like, yeah, why haven't I finished my things? Like, what the hell am I doing?
And the best part is you're doing it in Berlin. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then you have a job. Tell us more about the job. So you'll also be earning money. Oh, my word. Love it.
Yeah, so this friend of my husband's like, oh yeah, you're a writer. So we meet at this wedding and we just chatting it up and we're
Yeah.
talking about our interests and whatever. And then it turns out she's running this art magazine, this political art magazine. And she's like, no, you should write me that. You should write about that. In fact, didn't you say you're coming to school here next year? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, no, I'm offering you a job. We can talk about the details, give me your email address, but I definitely want your perspective on my stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And I hadn't even been thinking about, I need to get an extra job or whatever. But she's like, no, I've got a position for you. Let's just talk about it. When are you coming? And then you can start whenever. So it's really been, yeah. So I'm like, okay, I like writing. I'm really into writing politics and all that stuff. And her magazine sounded like it's really the kind of place that I have probably been wanting to write on for a long time without actually doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so last question that I wanted to ask. Most people, you won't believe how many people ask me these questions. There is this assumption, maybe there's something about my energy that gives this off, that somehow when you do the Money Magic course, your romantic relationship is about to go downhill because now you're going to be this totally different, empowered woman, and everything is just going to go topsy-turvy. Like, your significant other won't be able to deal with it. Now, I know from the Money Magic students that the opposite actually happens, right? But because I don't have a relationship to speak of, I wanted to ask you to share your experience. How has that been as you've been doing this deep healing? You've been coming into your own power around money, getting international job offers, going to do your master's internationally. How's that going? Is it like, oh my God, this is a disaster. My romantic life is falling apart because of this?
It's not, hey. I thought my life was cool, my romantic life, because I don't know, I've been married to my husband for 7 years.
Yeah.
And for all those 7 years, I did not work. This is when I'm doing my free Thursday. And we were okay, right? Or I thought we were okay. So I started doing the Money Magic course. Of course, he'd make fun of me around meditations, like, oh, please don't tell me you're doing meditations or whatever. But he would give me that space to do what I need to do. Yeah. And it actually unearthed some of the money issues we had in our relationship that we would generally either ignore or I don't know what we did with it actually. Because now we actually talk about how we're using money in our relationship.
He doesn't do the course. So how did that happen? That you suddenly...
I don't know. Maybe I talk a lot about what's happening to me in the course around this thing. And so in a way, he would also have his own things where he's like, I can see how that makes sense in my life, in how this has happened and that has happened.
So he got triggered like I got triggered during the interview.
Yeah, kind of. But I think our relationship is a much better space. One of the things, for instance, was how, because he's the breadwinner and there's other ideas where I'd always wanted to be independent, but somehow I'm not working and whatever else, I would feel bad about bringing up money in the relationship. It's not that I didn't, but I would always feel bad, like, bringing up money, saying I need money for this and whatever else. But for instance, I found that this year, he gives me more monies than he usually would, because I just never would say that, actually, we're running out of this. The rates have gone up on that, so we need more monies this month. But now that I'm actually able to say that, it's not even a problem on his side. Yeah. And the more I do things and I'm getting extra monies in also, he's happy. He's proud of me. I think we are. It's not been a downhill. It's been an uphill from there. And even me deciding to apply to get my studies done and whatever else, it means I'm actually closer to him because he works a lot in Germany and whatever else. So we're actually going to have more time to each other than we did before. So it's made our relationship better somehow. I mean, I don't know, better? Okay. but I feel more grounded in the relationship than I did before.
That's because I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect that as we get more grounded within ourselves, it's the same as what's happening with the relationship with your mom. And just you'll probably also notice it with friends. You show up differently as you get more grounded in yourself and believe in yourself more. Then it's you show up differently. You're more present with other people. Because for me, I noticed that before I'd always be thinking, am I doing this right? What's the other person thinking about me, etc. And I realized now, like for the last 2-3 years, all those thoughts have disappeared. I can literally be in a room with people, just be with them, be with my siblings, be with my family, just be with them, not be judging them, not have at the back of my head, ooh, are they looking at this? Are they seeing this about me? And they can sense it too, because they just like my sister recently said to me, she's like, you are so present when we talk. She's like, you're so chilled and so present. I was like, yeah, I guess so. Like, there's very little other voices going on in my head. And that never used to be the case because I was so insecure, right? So, and I was always waiting. This is the thing. I used to wait to see if they criticize me so that I can count on that. It's disrespect, it's like, don't you dare say that. And then just like shout. Now people say whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I want to, as my dad always says, you want to preserve the relationship. So I'll look at it and then come back and be like, you know what you said then, I thought about it, I don't feel good about it, but maybe it's my own drama. It triggers something within me, or else it would have just passed me by.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, Pakama, for someone who's wondering if they should do the course and on the fence, is it worth it, etc., what would you say to them? And touch a little on the Facebook group. That's my favorite thing about this course.
Also me, because I like Facebook generally. I'm always trying to be on Facebook. But sometimes reading other people's stories always encourages me or inspires me or triggers me. And then I'm just like, oh no. But it also gives me that sense of, oh, it's not me. I'm not the one who has the problem in the world, Like a lot of people are going through different and similar things to me. And that gives me, that thing where you're like, yeah, in a squad, it's fine. And we're all working together and everybody's doing their own thing. So I like the Facebook group. Yeah. I would say people must join the course because I don't know, I've been on the course maybe almost a year to a year. I haven't even gotten to 50% of the course. I like the fact that you can do it in your own sort of pace and time and what's working for you, and you can repeat meditations, and it's really, there is no pressure. Like I've always even been that one who must pass and you must get it right and you must you must know your thing. And the course, the way that it's structured for me, it really becomes about what I'm getting from it rather than I must go through the 100% of the course and know everything and all that. I would also say that it's been good, the course for me. And I mean, I've always been a skeptical person in a way. So the fact that I said my husband laughs at me about meditations is because he knows me as that person who's like, yeah, spiritual things, miss me on praying, miss me on this, miss me on all that. So I found that I could still do the meditations without feeling too weird.
Yeah.
Like without feeling like oh, Paki, you're going mad now. You're doing like crazy things, like talking to yourself. And that's, yeah, and that's been a little bit of an adjustment to me because I'm usually a logical person who's like, I'm thinking in this particular way. Don't tell me that what I think and believe is what actually results in how I act and whatever. Yeah. So I've had to adjust my thinking on that, but it's okay.
You haven't had to. You've just had to do the work, and your subconscious has shown you the truth. I think that's the difference between reading a book that tells you this in theory and then doing the work, doing the guided meditations, being in it, because it's your truth. You're able to see it. I can share my story with you, but until you truly experience it, it will always be theory, and it will always be something that you can fight and doubt and debate. But once you have done it and you have seen your own results, that's it. Like, I can't say, oh, Pakama, that memory is incorrect. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't know.
Yeah. And I think it's the best investment on yourself, really. Like, I feel like, not that I didn't know myself before, but now there's things that I actually know about myself that I'd never even noticed before. Like how I feel around certain stresses, how I feel when I'm happy, what my body does, just to be present. What you said about being present, just being present and knowing what's happening around me. And I think that, hey, that's the best investment you can make for yourself. Like, for real.
Wow, Pakama, thank you so much. You've shared so openly. I'm so grateful. Do you have a last word to add? And then I'll let you go for the day. Okay. Wait, why? Hi guys, so that was Pakama. Unfortunately, as I asked her if she had any last words to add, she froze and she couldn't get back on tech stuff, right? We all know that. So for now, I'm just gonna call it a great interview and just say thank you so much for watching and for joining us. This was absolutely, absolutely incredible. And if you loved what Pakama had to say, please join us for the Money Magic course. We're opening registration opens soon. So if you're watching this, it's because registration is opening soon or registration is already opened, right? So have a blessed, blessed day. And I look forward to hearing from you. Let me know your thoughts on this video in the Facebook comment section. Send me emails, ask me questions about the course. Cheers.